Hi, this is Danny Hicks, but you might know me better as Jake from Evil Dead 2, or maybe Skippy from Darkman, or maybe even Bill Roberts from Intruder. It doesn't matter, because we are all listening to The Tim O. and Harley Show.
Welcome to The Tim O. and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O. and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, historically accurate Harley.
That's me. That's right.
Somebody's got to be historically accurate, right?
Yeah,
why not you, Mr. Ben Harley?
I try as much as possible. I like history, Tim.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I know. You get to hang out with Chance. You guys can swap stories about history.
And the
or histrionics, or what they call them. Yeah, so let's see. Got a few things to go through here, Mr. Ben Harley. Benjamin Harley. So, hello and welcome all you deep thinkers, too, by the way.
Deep thinkers.
Audience is comprised of 100%, 106%, according to my calculations, which are wrong because I take breaks in between calculating them. 106% deep thinkers.
Yes, that's right.
So,
boy.
Here's some things to chew on, all you deep thinkers. Let's see here. First up, wanted to mention, give a shout out and mention.
Yeah.
Last night, I went with Scott Randall from Fragile Porcelain Mice. We will be playing, as you hear this the first time as it airs, it will be this Friday, November 29th at the pageant. Fragile Porcelain Mice will be warming up the joint for the Urge.
Yes.
And as an added bonus for everyone there, we will have our good friend, Mr. Senor Danny Hicks. Yes, from Evil Dead 2 and Darkman and many other movies. Yes.
Many. Intruder.
Yes, we'll be there, and we'll be our co-host starting next week, we'd like to announce. So
that's right.
So next time you hear us, there will be a handsome-voiced Danny Hicks with us. So.
Old handsome himself.
Yes, looking for that. But so we went last night, Mr. Ben Harley. I was cheating on you a little bit.
Hello.
I was cheating on you a bit. Another internet radio show. Went and Scott and I were guests on Beyond FM. And I do believe their handle might be Beyond FM STL, like St. Louis. You can find their page and stuff on Facebook and all that. But they are a not just rock and roll, but a local St. Louis music show.
Okay.
Mr. Ben Harley. So if you want to hear some interesting and good music that's not run-of-the-mill crap you're tired of hearing go and check them out. So they talk a lot about music, and they try to get themselves into the local scene and help out bands and do a lot of that cross-promoting type stuff. You know, I'm into that cross-promotion type stuff.
You are,
Tim. I like to
the
wheel and deal.
And it's good, Tim. That's a good way to go.
Yes. So and actually it was fun because last night, and I don't know if it was the first song they played while we were there, because they do play music, and then they interviewed me and Scott. Me and Scott mostly talked about Boxer Day and tea and crumpets. Stuff that's very, very pertinent to Fragile Porcelain Mice and the gig we have coming up. But yeah, one of the first songs they played was Annihilate Zombie Slut. And I actually looked up to their host, T-Bone. Not Tim-O, this is a T-Bone.
Oh, T-Bone.
You might have a Tim-O, but you can chew on a T-Bone. You know what I'm saying? So I told old T-Bone, I said, that was the first song that we played on our podcast. Was Zombie Slut by Annihilate, our good friends Annihilate. So
that's funny.
Yes. So we got Hicks season coming up. I got my orange vest on because that means Hicks season, and I got my collar. Let me get my collar. Hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
Let me find my collar. Where's it at? There. Hold on. Here we go. My Nick's collar's a little sick today. It's got a little bronchitis today.
I think I do too. I don't know.
Well, I'm a little worried. He might be in the air as we speak. He is coming in tonight in the space-time continuum. I don't want him to fall out of the sky because he heard a call. No. Don't want that to happen.
Right. Right. We don't want that.
Right. So let's see here. A couple other things. First of all, Mr. Ben Harley, I know what everyone's thinking. My God, is Timo sexy this week? I got a new microphone.
Man, his voice is even more sexy.
Oh, yes. How could it be, you say? Get a new microphone, Give yourself a hand. Give yourself a cheat, if you will. So.
Yeah.
So we got that going on. And also we have been talking a little bit about the Expedition Bigfoot show that will be coming on Travel Channel. Now, this show must be a big deal, and it must be exciting and cool because they keep switching around the date and the time they're gonna air it for the first time. So I'm going to correct everything here, and as we speak, it's going to air for the first time December 8th. It has been moved to Sundays, which is actually a good night for television. So,
I like Sunday night television.
Yeah, so that will be Expedition Bigfoot has been moved to Sunday nights in the Travel Channel starting December 8th. Now,
awesome.
I'm only promoting the show because it's new and I was told to give it a chance. I am not condoning the show by my own, on my own accord or anything. I'm just saying, give this one a shot because I think we're going to give it a shot. So,
yeah, definitely. Right. Yeah. Well, we need something new, It's been a minute since we've had anything really good in the Bigfoot field. I think the last one was that Les Stroud one.
Those were good. Those were good. And I know that a guy sitting there, an executive or something on the TV that may say they're boring. No, they're not boring if you really are interested in the truth.
In the field, yeah.
Yes, in the truth. So
because if you want to watch something silly, there's plenty of awful Bigfoot movies out there you can watch.
Yes, yeah, you're
right. If you want something like that, or if you like Matt Moneymaker style stuff, there's plenty of those old crappy shows you could watch too.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm hoping this is not that. Now, I do not know the format. I don't know exactly what's going on. I do think it's a limited series, which I appreciate. I thought it was maybe 8 episodes or something like that. Now, that doesn't mean it won't get picked up for more and what have you. I'm reserving judgment on this one because I was told by people that I trust to reserve judgment until I see this. So we'll see. Everyone's bar is set a little different on what's exciting and what's impressive with stuff. But anyway, again, if you're interested in the subject, check it out. We're not putting our seal of approval on it. We're putting our seal of give it a shot. Check it out. Check it out.
It's not Mountain Monsters.
Not from what I know, it's not. Please. I swear to you, if I turn that show on and Shoeless Terry or somebody's on there, I'm going to, Wild Bill, I'm going to go, what is, you people, I'm not listening to you people ever again. I'm going to go out I'm sitting out in the woods by myself. I'm going to find this out for I'm not even trusting any of you people anymore. So
no more. Yeah.
New. So let's see here, Mr. Ben Harley. Let's get to a few things.
Sure.
Let's see, Mr. Ben Harley from where we're going to go with this. 1971. 1971. What a fine year, right?
A hell of a year.
Yeah, you were sucking on your thumb, had a pacifier, poop in your britches. Right. It was great.
Everything was good. Right?
I was I was an unmatured sperm still. It was wonderful. Watch the movie Blood and Lace.
Okay.
It has Dennis Christopher in it. Len Lesser, who you would know if you saw. He's a character, weird looking character actor guy. Gloria Graham and Vic Tayback. Old Mel Sharples is in this thing.
Mel Sharples.
Yeah. This is a pretty odd movie. It's a isolated orphanage, and the lady running the place ain't up to no good. Now, it appears to be this is an isolated orphanage for lonely 20 and 30-somethings. Because the actors are a little long in the tooth for, I think, to be
in an orphanage.
They might be a little old to be adopting from an orphanage, much less even being a resident at one. But it's on Amazon Prime. There's a kind of a crappy print on their streaming. It's okay, it's kind of an icky kind of thing, but it did kind of hold my attention a little bit, and a couple little cutie orphans, I guess, if I can be so sick, so gross, I suppose, but yeah.
30-somethings.
Yeah, not too bad, though. Blood and Lace, 1971. Mr. Ben Harley watched a movie that we reviewed from 1959, directed by Ricardo Frida. Sort of directed by him. But then he handed the reins over to our pal, Mario Bava. Yes. So I watched Kaltiki, the Immortal Monster.
Nice. I like that one. That was pretty fun.
It's sort of a precursor, not a precursor, but it's kind of like a Blob type of movie, and The Thing a little bit.
Yes.
A little bit of The Thing. So, it's fun. It's a fun monster movie. And something about the Italian films that I'm starting to get into a little bit, almost like, not that I didn't know they were there, but recognizing this little subgenre of Italian films is the monster movie, the old monster movie. I think I talked last week about the Lorelei's Grasp. And that one might have been a Spanish film. But you know what I always say, the Spanish films are the Italian films' little ugly brothers. You know, so they're just one step over and just one step cheaper. It's just,
hey, go with it, brother.
Yeah, well, I do. Man. You know me.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
Right. So this basically has it's like a shiny sleeping bag monster type of deal, but not too bad. And then they have a guy that's been infected by the monster. He's running around kind of being a pseudo slasher type guy. So we got a few things going on in this movie. Not too bad. And there's also a couple fun little gory moments. And that's something I do like about the Italian films too. We've reviewed a couple films. Giant from the Unknown comes to mind, where you see a couple flashes of gore. Yeah. Like kind of before you expect it, like the black and white late 50s days. I would put the monster Piedras Blancas in there too, where there's a little bit of gore you don't see. And that's what I kind of like about some of these older European films too.
They push the envelope a little bit.
Right.
Which is good though. And if you do it well, it's artsy, Timo.
Right. Exactly. So let's stay in the 1950s and the monsters, Mr.
All right.
Harley. Watched, and this is almost just a report back. Not much you need to say about this, but from 1955, watched It Came From Beneath the Sea.
Ooh, okay.
And the old Ray Harryhausen movie. So the octopus with 6 legs.
Yeah.
Can afford 8, so not too bad. This one always needed more monster.
Yeah.
It like does. 2 more legs of a monster, maybe. But it's okay though. It's not a real bad movie, and there is a monster in it, so it is kind of fun. Could use a little more destruction and everything. I'm sure you've seen this movie a couple times, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But good time watching it. And speaking of giant monster movies, Mr. Ben Harley, this will be it. This is last up. So this is going to be it. So. From 1961, I watched Mothra. I want to tell you something. We watched we watched a Riff Tracks or a Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah,
and it was Prince of Space. Do you remember Prince of Space?
Yeah,
the superhero who constantly reminded the villains that their guns were useless. The whole movie. Haha, your guns are useless. You told us that, Prince of Space. Whatever. Well, the guys
cheap trick references in there.
Right. Well, the guys in Riff Tracks that kept going, Prince of Space, like how they're over emoting, and they kept doing that. I don't think I went for 60 seconds watching Mothra and I was by myself without going, Mothra. Like they would show like the couple of scenes, and then the Mothra would be like, Mothra, Mothra. I couldn't help myself. So, the little twins are still creepy hot. That's just a weird fetish that I'm not sure why any of us men even look at. But you know what I mean? You're like, I could have 2 little girls and put them in my pocket, and then you gotta stop. You're like, whoa.
Wait a second.
Fuck am I thinking? Fuck you, Mothra, and your movies and shit. You know? Don't make me into a sicko. I wasn't thinking that stuff at all.
Yeah. Why'd you bring this to me?
Yeah. Why'd you have him sing that lullaby to make me float over toward them? I can't even hit the high note. Yeah. So
That's a really weird little scene too, man. Like when they're
right,
Mothra's like really coming to life there, or whatever, and they're talking to it or singing to it.
Right,
stuff. It's just really weird. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's funny. Mill Creek, it was always been known as a low budget DVD Blu-ray manufacturer. They put out the shit people would bitch about. Like, oh man, that's not a Blu-ray. Come on. They actually put this out in a steelbook, and man,
really?
They have the Japanese. I watched the Japanese version actually.
Yeah.
And the Japanese version, you know what they cut out of the American version was some of the fucking destruction.
Really?
Yeah. And so if you watch a Japanese version, of course the dialogue's completely different.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different story almost and stuff, but it's okay. What I liked is it looked really good. The actual the job that Mill Creek did was excellent. Was excellent. Now here's something that's interesting for you, Mr. Ben Harley. And I know you like this kind of stuff because you like to defend the kaiju movies. I know this.
Yes, sir.
So that's it, Mr. Ben Harley. But I thought you would enjoy that. Now I also hold on one more thing. One more thing here. Since we're on the subject, I think I was texting with you about this a little bit too. So I know that some of these movies bother you, and that Godzilla versus King Kong or King Kong versus Godzilla really bothers you. Okay. Yeah. Now I want to put you at ease.
Yes,
at ease here. Okay. Godzilla was still a bad guy when they filmed that.
Yeah.
They meant for King Kong to win and be the good guy because they wanted to keep Godzilla scary and bad. But they also wanted to make kind of a kids movie. And if you watch the Japanese version, the whole myth is that Godzilla wins. No, he doesn't win.
No.
The only difference is there's like 2 roars in one version and 1 roar at the end of the other version. Yeah. But on the other hand, the Japanese version is like a slapstick comedy. And like more crazy. Of a kids movie. The story is way different. It's a slapstick little comedy with goofy stuff going on in it. And so the translation of that movie is bizarre because of that. Because of that.
It is.
Yeah. So.
It's just a bizarre movie all around too. Like, I mean, there's certain things that I really did like about it. King Kong himself looks awful. Just absolutely so awful.
Funny awful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a part where they get him all drunk or whatever, you know, or he gets drunk, and then he has to fight that octopus. And I tell you what, though, that octopus looks awesome. It's one of the best looking octopus or giant monsters of all time.
And one of the most random.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Yes.
Well, I think it wanted something to drink too. It wanted to get some booze.
I'm sure it was thirsty. It was on land. Yeah. It was.
Yeah. So it wants some more of that go-go juice or whatever.
Oh yeah. But the knockout stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, but you know, I guess you know, Tim. I must have always been a heel fan. I mean, even from the time because man, that made me mad. And I remember trying to explain to my mom as a little kid. The reason why he couldn't beat or King Kong shouldn't have won and because they had this whole thing with lightning striking him and my poor mom was probably thinking, what did I do? Like, why did I
right.
Oh my God, this kid's so upset about a giant monster movie.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Oh, I was beyond myself. But yes, I don't, you know, it's a good movie. I love that movie until the last I don't know, 3 minutes, and then it just sucks.
Right.
But yeah, you know.
Well, it's fun to go back. It's fun to go back, and if you like, IMDb is good for this. Go back and start with Gojira.
Yeah,
and then follow the timeline of all those kaiju movies.
Yeah,
you know, like so follow the timeline. Like what came next, like Rodan and stuff. Like what came, and then you start realizing that that King Kong versus Godzilla was only the 3rd Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Now I didn't even realize that until I was looking into it. You know, even a snooty snob like me doesn't. Yeah. You just don't always wonder or think about things. I'm like, wait a minute, because the stuff kind of runs together. You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch them in order. But there's an interesting little twitch to the whole Godzilla mythos if you do watch that stuff in order.
Yeah,
and it might be a freak out that might have to happen someday, Mr. Ben Harley. But that's going to be when they come up with the new brand of marijuana or something, right? That's going to be some sativa stuff or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of throw that in there too, Mr. Ben Harley. Now I know that you've got a new obsession, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's that obsession that you got now?
Oh, yes.
You and the rest of the country, apparently. So.
Well, yeah. You know, I did end up going with the Disney Plus new streaming thing. Yeah.
Sheeple. You're a sheeple.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I already had Hulu, so
sure.
I've had it for a little while. And there's some shows that Wendy and I would watch on there. And some of the television shows, which there's not too many that I like, but, they'll have them on there. So I had that for a while. But with this Disney Plus, you get Hulu with it, plus ESPN. So for about, basically kind of what I was paying for Hulu, I got the Disney Plus, and so plus I got prorated because I had already paid for Hulu for the month. And
oh, that's cool. They actually did that for you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Not bad. That's
Yeah.
a good business practice you don't see very often today.
No.
Like any good business practice. But yeah, that's good.
No.
Good.
Yeah, so that was nice, But Timo, I am a Disney fan.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I don't care what people think. For me, I don't like all Disney stuff. No,
I like the
don't
old
get me
stuff.
wrong. I do too.
70s
I grew
back.
up on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I grew up on that stuff. As a lot of us did. And
Sure. Like it. Yep.
I still think Disney. I mean, some of them are. I mean, they're cartoons. Okay, some of the older stuff, but like some of those tales are much better stories than definitely than what we're getting nowadays by far.
Right.
And they didn't always pull punches, Timo. You learned a lot the hard way as a kid, Bambi, all that stuff like that. But I mean, there's, you know what I mean? Like I just like Disney. I liked Walt Disney himself. I like the whole Disney mythos, whatever. So, I kind of wanted this for the fact that it has, a lot of the Star Wars stuff, and it has, the Star Wars, all the Pixar things, and that's good for Sydney too, for her, because she's really getting into the Toy Story and stuff like that now, and so it'll be nice for her and I to watch all these things together, like and even all the old stuff. I'm so interested in watching the old Disney cartoons and Disney through the years and stuff like that. Timo, I even found on there that movie Gus with.
Oh yeah, I just got that on DVD with Don Knotts in it, and it's got
Don
Tim Conway too in it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I haven't seen that since I was a kid, and I'm so looking forward to watching, just stuff like that. So I'm excited. So real quick, Timo, there's a couple things on there that I have watched. The other day I did watch 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, okay.
Which is a lot of fun. I like that movie.
A little long. It's a little
yeah.
long. It's a little drawn out and slow, but you could tell for its time, It was a drawn out blockbuster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I could do it with the seal too, but anyway, move on.
Yeah, the seal's all right. He's okay. I don't know about the singing. The singing's a little bit
yeah,
much
well,
for me.
you know that. You know how I go with that. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I enjoyed that. And I think you and I reviewed this before. But it was fun to go back and watch that. And there's a lot of, things on there of the sort, but it was nice to go back and watch that. But the big thing on there for me has been the Star Wars stuff. There hasn't been a lot of the, it's got a lot of the newer movies. I do know too on this Disney Plus, like, so if a movie comes out on Blu-ray or DVD, it automatically goes on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So like it has all the Marvel stuff, Pixar, Disney, National Geographic. What else is on there? The Star Wars universe. But the Marvel stuff, I'm going to there's a lot of that stuff I do want to check out. They do have all the newer Ant-Man and all that stuff too that I kind of want to catch up on as well. But I've really been excited about some of the Star Wars stuff they've been doing. Not so excited about the last movie they did of this new trilogy. So it really took the wind out of my sails, like big time. Like, I mean, that Force Awakens wasn't bad, and I was happy because they gave, the fans kind of what they wanted, I think, too. You had Han Solo back in it and Leia and all these, Chewbacca, and it just, I can see where they were going with it, and I appreciated it.
They're passing
like
the torch,
Star Wars.
if you will, like kind of
Yeah.
to the new characters.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do
But-
it. I give them credit
Right.
for that. That was the only way to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I just did not like the second one. Like Force Unleashed, I think it is.
I can't remember.
I just,
Yeah.
I just did not like it. I could not bring myself to like it. I can't even really go back and watch it. I've man. So pretty depressed about that. But on a better note, there is a new show. that has come out on there, and it's a Disney Plus original called Mandalorian.
Yeah, I heard a lot about it.
Mandalorian.
Yes, heard a lot about it. A lot of people like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they're just like it's made it's a made for Disney Plus show original, and the episodes there's only 2 episodes out, and they're like 30 minutes, 35 minutes long, something like that. But I have to say, no pun intended, it has given me a new hope, Timo.
Oh, okay.
For Star Wars stuff. Like, now I know not everything's going to be. I'm not going to like everything. I just have to understand this nowadays. I'm not going to like everything. I'm just not, and that's okay as long as they keep making more stuff. If half of it I liked, then I'm okay. Mm-hmm. But this show is really good. I mean, it is. It's based around a bounty hunter, a Mandalorian, which is kind of like a Boba Fett character. Right. And it's post Empire. So
what timeline is this in? Is it before the original Star Wars trilogy? Is it after? What
I think it's after I think it's supposed to be after the original trilogy.
Okay, so it's futuristic, or is it?
Yeah, I guess it would be.
It's like Darth Vader already gone and dead and stuff, and this is all.
Yes,
okay,
yeah. Okay. So this would be after Return of the Jedi, or after the fall of the Empire, I guess.
Now, forgive me for asking. I'm just curious, but I mean, does it appear to be after anything you've seen so far in the movies?
Not that I can really pinpoint, but I know.
Okay. They don't really say then. You just kind of they throw you in. There you go. You're running.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And you do see there were some stormtroopers, but like I was really impressed because Werner Herzog makes an appearance in this film, and
that Dolph was strange, Ben Harley.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm watching and I'm like, and I know he did Incident at Loch Ness, but it's been a few years, so he looked a little different, but I could just tell as soon as he started talking, I was like, this guy's voice is like way, I was like, I know this guy. And then I was like, wait, that's Werner Herzog. And I had to stop it and go back. And I'm like, no, it really is. And so that just like, it kind of brought me into I don't want to give away too much about it. So I don't want to talk about his character, but man, it kind of hit me like hard. I was like, wow, this is great. Like this, it gave it some levity for me. Like, to see him in there as an actor too, and his character is pretty cool, and hopefully
gave it
he'll
some weight.
be
It
more.
gave it a little bit more.
Yeah,
like, you're like, okay, I can see that.
And so I was
Warner.
just, So it was very good, and I like the character of this Mandalorian because he's kind of a dick,
I like that too.
And we need a little bit more of that.
Uh-huh.
Now you can see like he's not so much of a jerk or a dick, but he is, and it's like. I guess it's kind of a breath of fresh air to see a character that's not so prim and proper, or I don't know. It's
right.
It's,
I hear what you're saying. You're ready for something different. You're ready for something that's a little more earthy, a little more real, a little more human.
Yeah. So
I don't think you're alone. I don't think you're alone, by the way. Yeah.
No. And Timo, I don't necessarily like jerks all the time, but. I'm just saying it's nice. So it has a couple other actors in it, Timo. I know Carl Weathers makes an appearance in it. I love me some Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Nick Nolte's in it.
Oh boy.
It actually had to go back because I kept thinking, and especially in the second episode, it's starring Nick Nolte. I was like, well, when's Nick Nolte going to show up? I was like, it can't be the one guy. Yes, it's is.
The one guy.
Yeah.
But you're enjoying it. Because I've heard people say that this show is really good. Now, you know me and series. As a matter of fact, I just saw Eric Red, the director of Bad Moon and Body Parts and the writer of The Hitcher and stuff. I am a social media friend of his. He's nice on social media, very attentive to people, and clearly likes his fans and is proud of his work, and he should be. But he made a comment. I don't know. He posted something. Then he shared a television show. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And he said, just more proof that the genre has gone long form. What he meant is just more proof. We're all now into television series. Screw movies are done. I'm horribly depressed to see that enter the ether. Just those words enter. I am like, but here's the other thing, Mr. Ben Harley, and I'm going to admit this. As much as I wave my cane at television series, it isn't like there's a whole lot of short form movies coming out that I'm not waving my cane at either. So I don't know if it's as much the series, but it is, because even as a kid, I couldn't stand Freddy's Nightmares. I couldn't stand the Friday the 13th show. The episodic shows like Tales from the Dark Side and Twilight Zone and stuff, those were okay sometimes. But I never like went on my way to watch them. And I also knew the restrictions that they were put on television. And that immediately almost made me be like, nah, I'm not going to watch this because they can only do so much.
Sure.
You know, so just, I don't know. But don't like to hear that the whole genre is going into long form. Now, the half-hour episodes, like you said, that's okay, I guess. I just want to be told a story and let go. Let me go.
Sure.
Tell me a story. It's almost like when you're talking to somebody on the phone. Like now, for you right now, for instance. You're like, get the fuck done with this so I can move on. You know? But it's the same thing. It's like, all right, tell me the story. It's like the person who tells you the story and starts in the middle and keeps backtracking to the beginning. Then gets back to the middle, then backtracks a little bit more, then goes forward 3/4, backtracks. And that's what it feels like. It's inefficient. To me, like, it is. Watching a television show is like listening to your Uncle Earl tell that same story at Thanksgiving every year. You know, it really is. I mean, that's what I feel like. So although I see the quality in the television programming, like the visual quality and the quality of everything that goes into it compared to like Three's Company.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of appreciate Three's Company more because it was more episodic. You just got a couple of laughs off of everybody mistaking the situation for something else every single week. Yeah. And then you got to get the trip to the Regal Beagle. Harley, where did I go? You gave me wrong directions. I'm in Three's Company. Where are you? Where are you? You're in Star Wars still? You're in The Mandalorian still? All right. Well, I'm in Jack Tripper. You're in Boba Fett.
That's right.
But no, and here's the thing though too. You're not alone. I've heard a lot of people and seen a lot of people on social media like really praising the show. So if you're into the shows, it's supposedly a pretty good one. Yeah.
Well, it's really given me seriously a new hope on like there's people out there that can do this right and are going to do this right. And now, you know, it could be 4 or 5 episodes from now. I might be like, oh crap, you know, but where I'm at right now, I could not be more happy. Like, it immersed me back into the universe, okay? Mm-hmm. And it made me, you know, enjoy it so much that I actually went back and I've been watching the original trilogy again. Uh-huh. Now, I'm not as happy because I don't like the special editions that much. I enjoyed them when they came out because it was awesome that Lucas did it. Put them back out again, and I could go to the theater with my oldest daughter, Caitlin, and we can experience them together. You know,
and you thought it was going to be something special. You didn't know they were pulling the rug out from under you and taking the other stuff away from you. Yeah,
they were putting in stuff that's just dumb. Right. And even back then, I was like, how many more Jawas do I need to see falling off of things?
Right.
And I'll tell you what, you watch that stuff now, it is awful.
Oh yeah, it was awful then. I'm sure it's worse now.
Oh, it's so bad. Some of the CGI is awful, and there's no need for it. There was absolutely no need. Now, I will give him credit because right now I am on about halfway through Return of the Jedi. He didn't do that much in Empire Strikes Back, which I did remember. There's only like in Cloud City, I know there's stuff in the background, but it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. The one thing though that it was awful, and they did mess up, is the Jabba the Hutt thing in A New Hope.
Oh God. Yeah, that was.
And they mess up because he actually says, Jabba, you're a wonderful human being, because the original was supposed to be a human guy.
Yeah, he
was talking with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that was bad.
The thing with that is, I thought it was much more interesting to bring that character visually into the fold later in the series, because you kind of forgot about him, and that's a swerve. It's a swerve,
and you never really knew how bad he was. Like you didn't know. You heard about Jabba. Well, I gotta get back and pay Jabba. Jabba's got a death, or bounty, all these things that you heard about. So it was once you saw him, like, oh, look at this thing.
Yeah, it was almost like he was trying to introduce every character right away. And what was cool about those three movies is you got them introduced. Every movie had more cool characters that they introduced. You know, and I think back then they probably did that for Kenner to put out new toys.
That might have been too.
But I was buying that hook, line, and sinker a lot more than going back and awkwardly adding.
Yes.
To try to make, and you know what it does? It makes it more confusing.
It just
makes it more confusing.
Yeah. I won't even go off on the tangent about how, the other ones. Yeah. So, it's been a long time since I've watched any of these back to back at all. You know what I mean? So a long time. So I went right from A New Hope into Empire Strikes Back, which I cannot say enough good about Empire. I'll never be able to say enough good about that movie.
Yeah, you like that one a lot. Yeah.
I mean, of all the movies in my life, that's probably, I don't know. That had such an effect on me as a kid when I went and saw it. Now, A New Hope, blew my mind, as a kid. It opened my mind up more into a whole new universe and aliens and different things and characters and ships and things, you know. But what Empire Strikes Back did blew my mind and my heart at the same time. It opened me up to a whole new way of storytelling. I had no idea what I was in store for, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I still, to this day, still believe in my heart of hearts that The Empire Strikes Back is a horror movie. I watching it even the other day, I wanted to write down, and I'm going to do it one day. I'm going to write down all the things in this film. There's probably 50 things in this movie that I could pick out that would consider this a horror film. But the one thing I always want to say, Tim, and I won't go too much into it because we'll do a 3-hour show on this movie. But the difference, as much as I love Star Wars, A New Hope, the difference between the two for me was so stark watching it this time that, Star Wars is great. It's a good movie. But Empire Strikes Back is just much more of an epic. The stories got so much better. It's for me, it's where Star Wars started to get traction. The universe.
Star Wars, and I look at these movies coming from a different type of fan than you too. That I look at Star Wars like Star Wars had everything going against it. It was not supposed to be what it was, and even the people that were there, like the British extras and stuff that were there,
hated them.
Were laughing at these people, thinking, "What the hell is this thing?" And stuff. Yeah. And that movie had everything going against it, and against all odds. And let's be fair, you couldn't wait for Empire,
right?
Because what are they going to do next? Well, that's why I love Star Wars. Star Wars to me was that opened the door for everything that everyone else loved. So I'll let everyone else love what came after, but I won't ever forget where it started. And so for me, that's kind of why if people say, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? It's Star Wars. And people say, A New Hope. I'm no, it's Star Wars. It's called Star Wars. And this is the whole name thing with movies today and stuff.
Yeah.
And why I won't have Disney Plus. I won't watch this. I won't do this because it's I'm done with that story. And I'm not criticizing people. It's just me. I'm done with the story. I'm done. I've had enough. And those last couple movies that you're talking about, the last one, I had the same reaction you did. I
really think with Empire Strikes Back, as much, and I know a lot of people too that I have friends no, it's Star Wars. No, I love Star Wars. I can't tell you how much I love Star Wars. Okay, the first one, but once just going back just from a movie critic or we are or whatever, I have to just say that Empire Strikes Back, just the characters, the characterization, the way they react to each other, the things that are said, done, is just 2 steps above Star Wars. I'm sorry, but it is. It's just so much better of a story. I don't know if it's because of Irvin Kershner or whatever being the director of it.
It's definitely more fleshed out in that way.
Oh,
you know the characters already, so the first one has the unfortunate task of introducing you to people. I think it does that in a pretty efficient way, though. The first one does.
Yeah,
but no, you're right. You're fleshing these characters out, and you're learning more about people you were introduced to 3 years earlier, or 4 years earlier.
That too. But I just think the story, the writing is just so much better. The way, not to mention all the dark stuff in this film.
It's a very dark movie.
It is a horror film. You have
no, I don't. I'm
scares.
not arguing with. I know what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You know,
yes,
you have people getting their head gets lopped off. Guys get choked to death. 2 people get choked, die right there. 1 guy gets smashed. You know, it's just there's so much death and destruction in the whole thing, and it's not. When that movie ended and they took Han Solo and they're all there, I had no idea like what the hell was going on, and not even like it blew my head raw off my shoulders as a little kid. Right. And I'll never forget the feeling. As much as I said I love Star Wars and how much that made me feel so exuberant as a kid, this movie took me and I was like, I don't know what, wow. And I'll tell you what, it made me a movie fan. From that point on, I was totally changed about what movies could do and what movies could be and how you could completely turn something on a dime, like the whole, I know, Luke, I'm your father. Wait, what? I mean,
I think my issue, and it's not an issue. I look, when I went and saw it in a theater too, right when it came out, and I thought it was wonderful. I definitely had a different
I think
reaction.
You were too much of a critic as a kid.
Well, I might have been, but no, I think that when I went and saw Jedi was when I was like, this one's not quite as good. Now it's aged well, and we both have talked about that in the previous show. It has aged well, but as a kid going to see it, it was a little too kiddie for me by the time, because you grew up with these movies, but you were growing up, so you go from this dark movie Empire, and then all of a sudden you get back to where there's dark moments in Jedi, but then they have Ewoks and stuff, So there's a couple things, and one of the problems I had with Empire was a personal one. It was at the end of the movie, I didn't believe Vader. And what I mean by until I saw Jedi through, I mean the whole movie Jedi, I waited for the swerve. Yeah. As a little kid, I'm like, he's lying. He's a villain. He can lie. He's not. He's just trying to get Luke to go over the dark side because he needs another Jedi. He doesn't. It's not his dad. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And so it's almost like when you're watching a mystery, and you think you have it figured out, and you realize, oh, that was it. And so that was what set me off on the wrong path on Star Wars. Was at the end of Empire, and I don't mean I was curious. I mean it was wrong. Like, no, he's lying. Like, I didn't think it was a possibility he wasn't lying. It was wrong. And I think that's what set me different than a lot of other people, where they were watching this going and they were listening to what Vader said and they took him at his word. Well, I didn't take him at his word. It's an issue I've had in life. I don't believe people. I mean, really, that. We've had people come to the table and talk to us, and I turn around and you're like, yeah, right. The other one is this. Here's the other thing with this. And this bothers me to no end. And you're talking about storytelling, okay? But it bothers me to no end. And no one ever talks about this. Ever. Yeah. So I want you, as a fan of those 2 movies, to answer me this. And I mean this legitimately. Do you think, or do you feel, that Lucas had any fucking idea that the swerve in the 3rd film was going to be that Luke and Leia were brother and sister? Because if you watch the first 2 and tell me that's brother and sister, I'm going to go, ew.
Yeah.
Okay, so this bothers me too.
I think he did. I don't know. There's
Nicky shit.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact too that you wanted to pull like the whole love triangle thing. There's a lot of that, but you know what? It seemed like a lot more to me when I was younger. But when I watch it now, it's not really that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's not there anymore. But when you're seeing it for the first time, you're going with the story. And I was with you, by the way. I was like, the love triangle. Here we go. It's love triangle. Yeah. And it was a subtle love triangle as much as any other film that you would see back then. It was a PG movie. It wasn't like it's supposed to be a sex-crazed film. But I'm just saying, like, as much as any other, and it's not as much of, it's a curiosity. That part of it is a curiosity more than a criticism, because it is icky. And I wonder if what you were watching was a little unicked, because I only watch the untouched versions.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm watching this going, I don't have a sister, but I wouldn't act that way around her if I did. I mean, that's kind of the way I am. I'm like, that's really difficult for me. And I was very uncomfortable with that from day. I mean, when they said their brother and sister, I'm like, whoa. It was the same thing as Darth Vader being the father. I'm sitting there as a little kid going, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, brothers and sisters don't do that kind of stuff that they've been, what? You know, I mean, I was just kind of like, wait, no. And I felt like they were throwing wrenches in just to throw a wrench in. And I think it's what bothered me about the movies post Star Wars. And I know I'm being weird about it, but when I was a little kid, I'm like, it's not. And now I was proven wrong by Vader. He was his dad. So that is, and what I think, so when you say what's your favorite, it's what keeps that stuff from being my favorite is because I have a little bit of I had to go back and watch the movies again because I watched them under a different pretext. You see, when I was a kid, I'm watching with a different pretext. Like, I wasn't just going with it like we do with the Italian movies.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to come to this, Timo, real. I think the thing is the trilogies and things like that are just not your gig. I think a movie, boom, that's it. And I think that's your story. You need your story, boom, and that's it.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I can't. I'm not. Well, I don't want to try to convince you on these things, buddy.
No. And I'm not.
But
right.
And you know how I am. I am a part 2 fan of a lot of these films and things because sometimes I like the continuation of the story. But in Star Wars, that was the first time I ever had anything like this, where it was a continuation of a story, and I'll never forget it. But I'm not trying to be like, because I know most everybody, Empire Strikes Back. But I've been an Empire Strikes Back fan since it came out. It's my thing. It's one of my top favorite, probably 5 movies of all time. And it will always be because I think it's just a great movie.
It's a much more advanced film. I'm not arguing that at all. Like, I'm not arguing that at all. Like, I would never in a million years think that you like Jedi or like Empire because it's the most popular. I know you well enough. That's not why. As a matter of fact, that probably goes against it for you a little bit.
Right.
And you also know me well enough to know that I mean what I say. And also these movies are great. I love these movies. But I'm splitting hairs is what I'm doing a little bit. And the difference between Star Wars and Empire to me is that Star Wars hit you out of nowhere. What the hell just happened? And Empire is like, wow, that was cool.
You're right. It was such a, just was a mind blowing thing, man. Like,
Right. My immediate experience seeing it, where you were blown away, I had that with Star Wars. And I was having it with Empire on a different level. And then at the end, to me, it fell apart. And then I was like, okay, but it fell apart in my mind. It didn't fall apart on the screen. It fell apart in my mind when I was going with it. And then by the time I'm seeing Ewoks partying and Leia with long hair and them talking about how they're brother and sister, I'm out. Yeah. I'm out. I'm like, what? I've been watching like some bizarre version of nepotism versus incest or something. And that's what I felt like. Ew. And I also felt like it was a shortcut to getting Han and Leia together. See, I didn't feel like that this was planned the whole time when I was watching. I felt like they were throwing swerves at you to keep you interested, and it was pissing me off. And that's what was happening to me. Now, I am speaking in a very, very minor term, meaning that I still watch these movies and think I'm watching a Star Wars movie. Yay, that thing blew up, and Peter Cushing's in that's the other thing, too. You can't forget that Peter Cushing is in the first one, and I'm a Peter Cushing guy.
I'm telling you, Peter Cushing. I told you.
I know you got now.
Like my favorite character.
Right, I know
of all time, man. Well, or he's in my top 5 in Star Wars. Of all that guy is, and I said it's funny because watching it the other day too, I'm like, man, every time I watch that, I was like, it's better and better. And for me and him in the first one, he's just as menacing, if not more menacing than Darth Vader. And I always felt like that as a kid because I thought especially when I was younger, I thought he controlled Darth Vader. I did. I thought this guy, he's in charge.
Yeah, he kind of was.
Vader's, I'm like, man, and this guy really must be ruthless, and I was, kind of like the mad scientist thing,
right?
This guy, Vader's is like, but Hell, I didn't know what was going on. 7 years old.
They should have brought him back. They should have had him like somehow escape off
I
the
don't
pot.
know.
You know what? That would have bothered me too. That would have been. That would have been like, how did he live? There's no way I didn't see that. So it would have bothered me too. I'm saying this stuff.
Well, they did bring him back, Timo, and I know that bothered you. So
it's fun to debate because these movies are so much into the public like consciousness, and I think that I'm bringing up things that maybe people haven't thought of. Yeah, and if there's something like the only thing that blows me away is when I see people who do conventions and are vendors and stuff who have never seen these movies.
Yeah, Dick Starr. I
just have a hard time with that. Like, I don't like. There's a lot of movies, Harley, that I don't like. Like, let's say Monster Squad, pretty popular. I can't stand it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, right.
I've seen it. I can't stand Goonies, but I've seen it. Even if it was in pieces and stuff, I've seen it. I struggled through it, in a way, and I can't think of anything I didn't try. Just try at least. Like the movie. Here's a good one for you. This will make you snap your neck. Explorers. Yeah. Do you remember Explorers and how awful that was? But we all tried it. Yeah. We all tried it. Yeah. We watched it, and we probably were mildly entertained, waiting for that moment, and then it was over. You're like, okay, whatever.
That was it. Yeah,
that was it. All right, but it's an interesting little debate. I think we're on the same page where you probably like Star Wars as much as I like Empire. I do like those first two movies a whole lot, and I told you the third one's has grown on me. I do like it a lot more now than I did when I was a kid.
It's got the best Darth Vader Emperor stuff. It does, man. That stuff is so good. It's just
Skywalker. No, that is
it's the best stuff. Man.
Yeah. Here, let's agree on this. We can sit here and debate and get irritated with each other. These little details, of these movies. But if a third party walks in and goes, "What'd y'all think of the Phantom Menace?"
Oh,
crickets, man. You're going to get two steely-eyed looks from two middle-aged dudes with crickets. That's all you're going to get.
And it's funny. I don't know if this is funny or not, but I'm going to be going back and watching those three here soon.
No. You know what? Do yourself a favor and you've hurt yourself enough in life.
I know.
Life's been hard enough, Harley. Do not voluntarily make it any worse on yourself, please.
Now, Tim, they could have made one good movie out of all those three that they did.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
but that's just But I it's because not that I guess I really care too much, but I don't know. It might take me a while on those, but I'll get back to you on that. I'm not in a hurry.
Well, what are you going to give? So let's do a little rating. So you have now you have Disney Plus on your Apple TV or whatever it is you got. Yeah. So what are you going to give it a great bape up? What are you going to do? What do you think of the service?
Well, I'm
going
to give it kind of a mild great bape up so far. Okay. Only for the fact because it needs more on there. They need more, and I'm sure they will. I actually, I enjoyed. I think there's a lot of stuff like that with like that Gus that we just talked about.
That's got to be popped in, man. I just got that DVD like a week ago. I think I might send you a picture of it. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those, old Disney stuff that, the Apple Dumpling Gang, all those things too.
Yeah.
That I want to catch up on. Right. They have all that, Witch Mountain. Return to Witch Mountain.
I got those too. Yeah. All those movies I'm on board with. I mean, even the Cat from Outer Space will level all its crazy. Holy.
And it starts, it does like Disney through the years, and it'll start like from the 20s on up, and it's like all the shorts and things like
Steamboat
that.
Willie, was that what it was? Or
Steamboat Willie, yeah. So I'm like really interested in going back because some of those like real early Mickey Mouse stuff are so funny too. They're brilliant. They're funny, and they're done well too. That so a lot of that I want to catch up on.
Pete's Dragon, is that on there? Stuff like Pete's Dragon and things like that?
Pete's
all right.
Dragon.
So Robert Easton is well represented then.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it, Timo. We'll report back a little bit more. I haven't looked up the ESPN Plus yet. I'll check that out, but I don't really care because they don't support my hockey that much, so I don't support ESPN that much.
All right. Well, let's why don't we get to our official little film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley? Let's see here. From 1983. Now, it was, I think, released in 83, but I think a lot of this was filmed like in 79. This had a little bit of a journey from conception to screen, basically. So most of it happened out in the wilderness with the animal kingdom. So let's see. Pushing forward. Let me get you out, movie guy. Get out, movie guy. and give you a short storyline for the movie that we're doing this week, the official film, which is called The Prey.
The Prey,
as in
yes.
Prey. Now there is a little blurb on the artwork. Do you want to hear the little tagline blurb for The Prey? Right,
yes, I do.
It's not human, and it's got an axe.
Oh, wow. That might be my favorite one of all time.
Yeah. And fairly incorrect, too. So it draws you in and punches you from the other side. So, yeah, great. All right, let's get out movie guy and give you a little short storyline here. Here we go.
Sorry, that was good, Tim.
3 couples go on a camping trip in the woods of Southern California during the summer, where a deformed man is stalking their camp. Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a Friday the 13th clone, but there's a lot of talk around this movie that this was actually shot simultaneously or before
Okay.
Friday the 13th. But for fun and shit's sake, let's just say it's got to be the most bare bones kids in the woods getting stalked by a deformed killer movie of all time. Like just bare fucking bones. Like no, don't worry about why they're there. Don't. We're just walking in the woods, mumbling, and we're waiting to get attacked. And that's pretty much where this is going with this. So
there's a lot of nature being filmed.
A lot of padding. There's a lot of padding. There's a lot.
Man.
So
if you want to see a centipede or a millipede walk 10 feet on screen, this is your film.
Right. And it's known for that. The movie's known for having an overabundance of nature shots and stuff like that.
Oh my God! It's got a lot of padding in it.
It really is just 3 couples who are out in the woods. Now apparently, so this is filmed in let's say 1980. Let's average it out a little bit. So 1980.
Yeah.
So I guess the film opens in the 1940s. There was a big forest fire of some sort.
Yeah, and
they kind of make an illusion that someone has been burned bad in that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what version you watched. Okay, there's 2 different versions of this movie.
The one that you sent. Let's see.
Okay, the United States version that's pretty much it. That's about the backstory you get, and then they tell you a little bit of what's going on.
About some gypsies.
Yeah, they tell you about it. Now, in the international version, there's about 20 minutes more filmed that has the gypsies and shows the gypsies and actually adds nudity and stuff because they felt like there wasn't any in the movie. Yeah. Yes, so they felt that way. So if you hear the actors who starred in this film talk about the movie, they'll tell you, saw the movie. I had no idea where that came from. It wasn't in the script. It wasn't anywhere to be. We have no idea who filmed it, how it got there. Blah, blah, blah. So
wow.
I watched just the regular theatrical version because I didn't want to add 15 minutes to my experience of watching it. I am going to go back, though, and watch that because I think I might add a different dimension to this that's needed. Because I do believe if you get the Blu-ray from Arrow, they also have a fan edit. So it takes elements of the gypsy stuff that we didn't see watching this version and the other version and ties it together in a way the fan would enjoy it. So I'm actually kind of interested in watching that cut. Now, watching 3 cuts of this movie might be going a little far for it. But we just were talking about how I get.
For the team.
We talk about how I get, and I'm a 1 movie guy, and this doesn't have sequels, so it is what it is. Right, so they're out in the woods and kind of being menaced. There is a kind of a fun scene to kind of open the movie where a couple gets it, where they get killed. Yeah. And it does have an axe at this point.
That was the most interesting scene, and I'm sorry, the entire movie, or the most, I guess, artsy or whatever. There's a point, because the couple go out and it's a husband and wife.
Yeah, an older couple.
She's going to clean the dishes.
Right.
Yeah, she's going to clean out the dishes, and she hears her husband comes back, and his head's been lopped off.
Sure has.
And if she looks up, and there's an axe, and the axe is in the air, and then it actually turns towards her, and then it's now that was it. That's the only thing that I was like, wow, that was interesting. The rest of it, not so much.
Well, now, so is this the first time you've seen it? Because this, this has been on video shelves for. It was on the VHS shelves. Almost every place you'd go to, you'd see this movie.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've seen it for sure either. Yeah. But right. So really the lot of the movie it's just way too much like improv mumbling, walking, and nature footage because it's set up. Everything is there. They're not bad actors. They're not. No. I mean, there's nothing. The cinematography is pretty good. I mean, everything is kind of there except for what you were mentioning earlier, which was kind of writing. There's really not much of a script to this. There's an idea, and it looks like they went out into the woods with a pretty cool idea, and then just kind of thought it would work. And that's also listening to the actors today speak. That's kind of what you get out of it. That they basically told them, just talk north. I think they were trying to go for a natural feel, and it didn't work the way they expected it. Right.
It's just there's some painful, long, like you said, there's a lot of padding and nature stuff, which I'm okay with some of it, but man, at one point I was scared for these people more because they kept showing like rattlesnakes and pythons and
you were worried about the animals attacking them. You thought they were coming after them.
There was like tarantulas.
You probably did if you hadn't seen this before. You probably did think the animals were going to attack them.
There's a tarantula. There was what else? There was, and I'm like, I don't know. I was like, this is like the worst place for these guys to be camping ever, man. Like, there's so many bad things out there. And then
I did tell Angie, I said, eventually they're just going to show a shark or like an octopus or something, you know?
I don't know, or a wildebeest or something. Because there's just, it got to the point though where they're doing like a fire scene, right? You know, and fireside talk scene. I'm like, all right, there's gonna be a scary story coming. Gotta be a scary story. And he does the monkey paw thing. Yeah. At first, after telling a bad joke first, and then he does the monkey paw story, which is bad. Yeah. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, they cut from that scene to the Ranger Rick guy, who was telling a joke to a little doe, or like feeding a doe, and he's telling this god awful joke. And I'm thinking to myself, was this director like a failed comedian? And he thought, well, here, I'm funny. I'll just show you how funny I am on film. And okay. I'm thinking, if I hear one more story.
So let's rewind and dissect everything you just said, because it's very important. So yes. Steve Bond, who was in the Harold Hansen Pants guy that I think was telling the story, he was in General Hospital and stuff. I used to like him when I was a kid because I watched General Hospital as a little kid with my mom. And so like for me watching this movie, I saw him and thought, oh, there's an actor in it. There's like a guy, in it. And actually the one girl was in The Day After. She was like Steve Guttenberg's girlfriend the day. So there's a few people, and there's a couple people who have done some stuff. And so he starts telling them the story about the monkey paw. Now, me and Angie are watching. I looked over at Angie. I was like, the monkey's paw is a great, spooky story. And if he fucking tells the whole goddamn thing, I'm going to scream. Like, you can't have all this padding and then tell the monkey's paw story.
That's what I was
know the story. Don't tell it. And then he doesn't tell it right. And then he doesn't tell it. So, but then they edit away for like a point of view shot of something watching them and breathing. And then they edit back and half the story's done stuff. So on one hand, I'm like, well, that was kind of awkward. On the other hand, well, you did spare me the whole monkey paw story because you didn't end it correctly. Yes. And then they go to the old Ranger. I called him Ranger Zac Efron.
It was Zac Efron.
You know who it was? It was Jackson Bostwick, otherwise known as Captain Marvel from Shazam.
Oh,
it was Shazam.
Was it Shazam?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. That's who it was. Yep. So, and the one thing I wrote down about him is that he really played that banjo.
Oh,
he did. I watched him. Like, he's really playing that banjo. I know he's playing that banjo. I'm a guitar player. I know. And he's like, yep, he's actually playing banjo. Not too bad. And it wasn't too bad. But he starts telling Ranger Zac Efron, he starts telling the story about the wide-mouthed frog.
Oh, man. I'm like, this is longer than
you're right.
Paw.
He's telling a baby deer, like a doe. Ben Harley.
Yeah. With these weirdest faces, too. He had the most outrageous faces going, too. Like,
well, I looked over at Angie. I said, so far, that's the most unbelievable thing I've seen in movies for a while. She's like, what? I go, we have enough deer around here to know that deer is not going to come out, and it's not going to take a golden egg out of your fucking hand. That deer sees you, it makes that noise, and poof,
Yeah.
it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
You know, with his tail up, with his white tail
Yeah.
up and stuff. So that bothered me. You know, and Andy's like,
Yeah.
well, if it was tame, I go, in the woods? There's no tame. What? You know, she was actually trying to help. I think she was trying to help Zac Efron. I think she had some.
Well, maybe she's keeping him in a pen or something.
Yeah, she has some twinkle eyes. For I can tell you right now.
Well, the story. How could you not, man?
Right.
He's so funny, too.
Right. But I have to admit that I do. Ranger Zac Efron did also introduce us to Forest Ranger Lester Tile.
Oh, Lester Tile. Now,
the Archie Bunker of Forest Rangers.
that guy. Now, I'm gonna. Can we talk about Padding again in the movie?
Well, can we talk about who he is?
Yeah, tell me.
Jackie Coogan?
Yeah.
He's Uncle Fester.
That is.
That was Uncle Fester. Yeah.
I kept thinking, I'm like, this guy looks so flippin' familiar. I'm like, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Lester Tile, Jackie Coogan. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uncle Fester. Yeah.
Awesome. Because, I'm like, this guy's so flippin' familiar.
Right.
And he, man, like, though the scene, like, he gets a call from the police department, because the original couple, the guy that got his head lopped off
right
at the beginning, are missing, and they, so he calls that ranger station to talk to him. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie, Timo, where they don't do, like, you can kind of hear what's being said on the other end, and, you're going back and forth. No, they didn't do that at all. He's just sitting there on the phone listening to the guy. Mm-hmm. And you don't even know what the guy's saying. Right. And he starts taking notes. And I'm like, are we going to watch this guy take notes? Mm-hmm. And yes, he takes notes. And I'm like, how long is he listening to this guy? For like 3 minutes. And he's like, okay. And he hangs up. And then he starts taking more notes. And he goes to like the missing persons report and all these things. I'm like, are we really going to watch him do all this stuff? Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah,
I've never in my life seen more petting in a film than this one. I don't think I've ever. And it kept to everything they were doing. I was like, oh my God. But he goes on to tell the story, though, of the gypsies.
Right. So, and that's a good moment. And that's the thing.
Yes.
It's like here's the thing. There's a good movie there waiting to hatch. I mean, as far as like a Friday the 13th 2 or Just Before Dawn or one of these Woods deformed killer guy movies or whatever, there's one there waiting to hatch. It's about a third of a movie stretched into one.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you too, the thing that's really frustrating, as soon as it gets going, it ends. I mean, it gets cooking, and about 10 minutes later, you're done. You're thinking, God, couldn't you have cooked more, like sprinkled that cooking, out like over like maybe at least 45 minutes of this? I'll give you 45 minutes of goofing off, but you you can't just keep reminding people mildly that there's a threat in the area by showing a point of view shot with breathing.
Yeah.
You can't pad it out that hard. That's really the only issue that I actually have with this movie, but it's huge. It's a huge issue, and it really is the only one. But it encompasses everything we're talking about. It encompasses all the nature shots. It encompasses old Jackie Coogan like sitting on the phone staring into space. I mean, where there clearly should have been a voiceover, on the phone going or whatever. The monster guy, they don't. I mean, he's not that bad. He's got really has a Jason Voorhees kind of look to him, which also makes me suspect that this was maybe made after Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
but I can't confirm it from everything I've heard. It's not fair because most of this was filmed before. Well, I don't know that. I can't confirm either way. So I've heard both ways, but. The monster was played by Carol Struycken. He played. Speaking of Uncle Fester, he was Lurch in the '90s movies.
Oh, okay.
So the monster guy was Lurch. So you've seen him in other movies too.
Yeah.
So that's who he was. You couldn't recognize him because of makeup in this one. And then old Lester Tile, Jackie Coogan, that was the original Uncle Fester from the TV show. So there's actually a bizarre Addams Family connection. This movie, this is like the sandwich on the Addams Family bread or something, like the meat in between. And he's an imposing person. I mean, he's an imposing guy.
He was
And that's the thing, like there's a couple moments there at the end And I'll even go this far, and I don't know if Angie would be upset, but there is a booby trap that the monster sets, and a girl gets snapped into at the end.
Yeah.
And Angie gasped.
Yeah.
I don't think she was very much like that, like, oh my, but you weren't ready for it because the movie's so crap, and then it gets cooking and then it's over. And then you're like, it's got a neat little ending. I think it's got a neat little, as soon as that monster gives that last girl a little grin.
Yeah.
You're like,
she even goes, oh, she even says, oh, she knows what's coming. I will say that was the funniest part of the film, or the best part. It's like, because then you kind of know what's coming. And then they show a shot of the winter. Mm-hmm. And then they time going by. Yeah. They show spring.
Yeah.
And then you hear, you see a cave. Yes. And then you hear a baby. Right. And I knew it was coming. I was like, as soon as they went to that winter part, and then I'm like, oh God. And then they went to spring. I was like, oh shit, he's got her. He's got her. And
well, do you blame him?
No.
Okay.
Oh, geez. I will say, before he even
you smiled before he did.
Yeah.
Well, we're semi alone now. If I can knock off this monster guy, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I will admit though, Tim, when I first looked at I said, okay, this movie's an hour and 53 minutes long. I'm like, what? This can't be. And I got a little depressed about halfway through. I'm like, I don't know if I can. This movie's awful. I was like, they're going to pad this so much. But luckily, Timo, you had sent me a disc that had some coming attractions at the end. That
yeah.
So there was about 30 minutes of that stuff. So
that was a bootlegged VHS version. That was the only thing that was available up until Arrow put out this Blu-ray. There wasn't even available on DVD.
Timo, I'm going to have to say that it was a very welcomed thing because I thought to myself, if I got to watch 2 hours of this, man, oh my God. I'm like, how do they make 2 hours long of this? So good thing that they didn't. Because this movie really, even with Pat, what was it, an hour and 20 minutes or 25 minutes?
No, there's a lot of padding. An hour and 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and there's 30 minutes of padding in that.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, and that's why, like, when I sat down to watch it with Angie, I thought about it. I was like, I'm not watching the international longer version because I don't think it's the one I sent you. And I watched it on my own time because what I did recall about this movie is that I liked it, but I only liked a little bit of it. And it was very frustrating, again, because there was such a good movie there waiting to hatch. You watch the kills, you see the monster, you watch the kills, and you're like, God, they could have done this. I mean, it was all right there. And when you think about the fact it was maybe filmed, let's say 79, wasn't released to maybe 83, and you realize, like, you know what? I bet they just they thought they had enough for a movie. They didn't. And it was on a shelf, and they wanted to add stuff, and they needed to get this thing put out to get the investors their money back or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it just feels that way. But then it's irritating seeing it though, because you watch the last. I mean, it really, Harley, what is it? 10 minutes where it gets cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's like a few people get scared, but there's not a whole lot of any kind of action going on, and it's really stretched out. And then when someone does die, they just kind of forget about him and move on. Oh, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Yeah, they're fine. They're just back there horsing around.
Yeah,
it's like,
they left without us. Like, well, where are they? I don't know. They just left. Like, they wouldn't have left you guys. Like, no, they don't care. And you're right, Timo. There is so much that it had going for it that it could have. It's just, it just like, it's boring, and the monster himself, like, is okay.
It's okay. It's but all right. A little oatmeal, but it's okay. Yeah.
But he's a burn victim.
Yeah, well, that's true. Right.
So, but the one scene I did like was that when he's telling about the Uncle Fester, telling about the gypsies and stuff like that, and they're eating the sandwiches or whatever, and it's like that was about like the only mildly interesting scene in the film for me. Like the rest of it was just painful, man. Like really painful. But I don't know.
Yeah, see, for me, it was like, first of all, I spent a good part of the movie completely fascinated that I was seeing a Zac Efron jettisoned through space and time into the past.
Yeah.
And everybody's listening like, why do they keep saying Zac Efron? Trust me.
Yeah.
Watch the movie and you'd be like, oh, wow. If nothing else, go back and look at Shazam. Go back and look at Captain Marvel. But that kind of cut my interest. I loved Lester Tile. I mean, Lester Tile, as soon as he came on, I sat forward. Oh, here we go. I like this guy already. You know, and then to find out that it was because it looks a lot different with glasses and a mustache than Uncle Fester does.
And a little bit of hair.
Yes, exactly. So when I found out who it was, that was even more exciting. But there wasn't enough of him. That would have been fun if he would have come and saved the day. I would have thought that would have been kind of fun. But I am going to tell you here that the good parts I thought were good. And so I'm going to give this the most mild grape ape up of all time, only because of that. Only because it was like, there is good stuff there. And the stuff that isn't there, it isn't like it's, like you're saying it's painful. Well, it's kind of painfully like just absent.
Yeah.
It's not like they're throwing in stuff that's hurting you. And it probably would have been more entertaining if they would have thrown in goofier stuff that made no sense. Like, really, there should have been a bad script. If there had that movie been exactly the same, and when they were walking through the woods, there was awful dialogue instead of like mumbling, you know, it might have been a lot more entertaining and funny. And they needed to space those kills out and get those people, because they didn't even know somebody was after them until the very end.
Right.
And that sucked. It's like, no, I hate that. I understand the setup of all these types of movies, no matter how many times people keep going back to Crystal Lake, it takes about 5 to 6 people getting off before someone says, "Where's Shirley?" You know, it's like you know they're setting you up for that, and there's always the random people that have nothing to do with the movie at all who get killed for a couple extra gore scenes, and we do have that in the beginning, but they really needed to. They needed to pad that. They needed to stretch that, and they needed to get more running from the creature. They should have had like one overnight where somebody sat up and watched, you know, like sat up and watched and stuff. And really like some of the way, like the way Steve Bond gets killed is kind of like, oh, that's horrifying, but not in a movie sense.
Right.
You know, like just a fall is like, okay, like, but the other two guys, like, he basically would snap their heads around and crush their faces and all kinds of stuff, you know, with the booby trap and smack heads against trees and stuff. Yeah. Again, this sounds great, but trust me on this. It's like squeezed into a very small amount of time. And it's frustrating. Yeah. It's almost as frustrating as the Final Terror. Do you remember that one with like Daryl Hannah and Adrian Zemed and all and really hardly anyone gets killed in it?
Yeah.
They just kind of walk around the woods and it feels like this, although I personally think this movie is much more satisfying than that one because it's pretty straightforward, a monster. Yeah. And it is what it is. That movie was a little like, it wasn't even what it was. It was kind of weird. But this movie was like weird but it was what it was, and you did get a monster. You got a payoff. You know, but they owe you. Yeah. They owe you more.
Oh man, they do. They owe me a lot more on this.
So I'm going to give it a mild grape ape up. I think I've explained why. Like, but what are you going to do?
Sure. I might have to on this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, only for the fact there was just too much. Like I said, too much padding, and for the payoff was just not quite enough. Now the other
I can't argue. With you. I can't.
Yeah, it. And I mean, you know, it is what it is, but it's shot really bad. But it's not. It's because it's the transfer. It's not, you know.
Well, that's what I saw a Blu-ray. Yeah, so that we did not watch the same. We didn't watch the same source. Yeah. The source I saw looked actually pretty good, and there was a lot of work that went into it. So
and it's okay. I mean, I didn't, you know, like it didn't like take me that far out of it because if it was a better movie, I wouldn't have cared if it looked like I was watching it underwater. I don't care, you know. But
right.
It just, I don't know. I really couldn't get into it too much. Now, some of the characters, they're all right, but like the stories and then the jokes and like that were just way too long and just too weird. I don't know. I felt weird for the people. I feel bad for this guy. He's telling this joke right now. I just feel bad for him. Like, I know I'm awkward and man, this guy's real awkward right now. I don't know.
I feel sorry for Zac Efron when he sees this back in the dailies. Yeah.
I thought the doe was going to laugh at him after, like, and laugh at him, not with him, like at him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and we like these movies, Tim.
That's what I was going to say too. It's my kind of movie. my kind of killer
Yeah.
slasher movie.
Yeah.
I like the woods
Yeah.
slasher movies. I don't like
Me
the city
too.
slasher movies. I don't
No,
necessarily
I
like
think-
the sorority house slasher movies like this. I
Me
like
either.
this
I
kind of
think
movie.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just more terrifying. There's
They are.
more suspenseful,
Mysterious.
I think.
Like,
Yeah, and
better
plus
atmosphere.
too, like
yeah.
when you're out in the woods, and especially if you're someone who's not accustomed to being out there all the time, you can really get lost and hurt and killed. You know, like
absolutely.
so you know,
yeah, easily. I get
even
lost
with
in my
all-
8 acres. I
Yeah.
do. I have to look
Yeah.
and find my house to see where I'm at. I get turned around real
Yeah.
easy because it's down a valley. It's hard to see up
Yes.
and see where you're at. Yeah.
Right, and for me that adds a lot
Yeah,
to the film.
I agree with that.
But I just this one I don't know, buddy. I just kind of I don't know. It didn't really do much for me.
Yeah,
So
I don't
apologize.
blame you. I think that you see where I'm coming from, and I see where you're coming from.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just think you're
totally,
leaning
yeah.
on one side. It's just like the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. You're just leaning on one side
Yeah.
or the other, and I see it on both ends. I see it. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
see it. So, all right, so you're gonna on the prey.
Yeah.
You pooped the
Yeah.
prey. You
I
pooped
pooped
the
on the
prey.
prey.
Dude, what the
Yeah.
hell, man? And then I'm giving it a very, very mild grape bait up because I think there was enough good stuff there that a guy like me that's seen so many of these, that's seeing a couple
Yeah.
glimmers of hope there that
Yes.
just wasn't
And there was.
fulfilled. I'm going to go back and I'm curious to watch the fan edit.
Yeah.
The fan edit this. I'm very curious. I'm going to go. I'll report back. I'll watch that,
Okay.
and then I'll report back and let you know. I don't know if I watch it with Senior Danny Hicks, so it might be a couple weeks.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know if I would have put Danny through this one. I just,
Like, no, he might walk out of the room and be like, yeah, Tim, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick and not come back.
he doesn't like rich food or rich storytelling like that. He just doesn't. It's just too much. It makes his stomach queasy. I just don't think he'll like it. All right, Mr. Ben, let's get the hell
Yeah.
out of here. Next week
This
will
movie
be.
made my stomach queasy too.
I don't blame you. Like I said, I'm a mild grape vape up, but for the right reasons. You're pooping on for the right reasons, so it's all fine. So, all right, Mr. Ben Harley. Next week, I do know
sir.
what we're doing. It's going to involve films and filmmaking, and we're going to have a industry insider here. We got Mr. Danny Hicks,
Icon.
the actor. Yes, the horror icon, Danny Hicks, Jake from Evil Dead 2, who. If I have to hear that poor son of a bitch yell Bobby Joe again, poor guy. No wonder his voice is hoarse. You know, you'll hear him next week, and his voice, it's a little better than it was last year or last time he was here, but it's still a voice, and I don't think it's from his
Poor guy,
surgery
yeah.
as much as from he has a hard time recovering because he always has to scream Bobby Joe to everybody. So
Yeah.
well, we'll get to that and many other fun stories with our good pal Mr. Danny Hicks next week as we start Hicks season. But until then, all you deep thinkers, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.